KPFT car. That's 1-855-573-8227.
Hi, this is Michael Woodson of Living Art. You are listening to KPFT Houston.
Arnie here. Grab a pencil. Your checklist for 5 a.m. Turn off the alarm, pull the covers over your head, feed the baby, clock out of work, head to the drive-in for coffee and a breakfast burrito, and turn on KPFT. The Attitude with Arnie Arneson is back. Radio that delivers life through the lens of politics and policy. But the operative word is life.
Tune into The Attitude with Arnie Arneson, weekday mornings at 5 on KPFT.
Good evening. You're listening to Living Art on KPFT Houston 90.1 FM, KPFT.org, HD1, and there's a great HD2 channel. And be sure you donate us a car, and be sure you listen to Arnie Anderson and Tom and Amy and all those good people come from different cities and listen to all the great community talk, great music you hear on your KPFT listener-sponsored, commercial-free radio, free speech. Here live and warm today on Caroline Street at the new KPFT building. And tonight's topic, the title of tonight's show on Living Art is what is intelligence, artificial or otherwise? And we've been talking about artificial intelligence. For some reason it's pretty hot. I think it's like the Gutenberg press, or maybe even the internet or the smartphone. It's a pretty big deal, and if it's not, that's okay too, but I feel like it's a topic that we ought to track. And my name is Michael Woodson, and the guest on Living Art tonight is again Messiah Tamagai. How are you?
Oh, yeah, I'm doing good.
Yeah.
It's warm, not melting in here. So.
We thank management for keeping the air conditioning functioning. So, yeah, anyway, how's your week been?
My week was pretty interesting.
You did some art.
Yeah, the beginnings of the art.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to, I can't remember. But there was a place I went to in spring. It's a private collection of exotic animals, and I was shooting a promo video for a local band called Chironex. We had a giant anaconda inside of a kiddie pool and put floating boats around it so it looks like a giant sea monster, Peter Jackson style. The fun part was I was pretty terrified of this 8-foot anaconda with a body the size of my calf, but behind the camera, I guess you can say I'm fearless. But the second you take the camera away, I'll probably run away. And the handlers kept telling me that she doesn't see you as food. Doesn't matter if she sees me as food or not. It's still huge and it's still scary, and it can give me the last hug ever. So.
Yeah, I'm kind of that way with things that slither from 18 feet anaconda down to a simple worm.
Yeah, creepy crawlies, not my thing.
I'm sure I need some sort of training to help me handle whatever that reaction is. So yeah, I get it.
Maybe if we put a camera in your hand, you might be a little less fearless. I mean, or a little more fearless. It was still pretty scary because they're huge, but they're still pretty fast, which is the scary part. And yeah, it was moving really fast and was sitting back really far, stepping into mud just to get the shot. But
Oh, the sacrifice of an artist.
yeah.
Anyway,
I never thought of it that way, but
Michael Carson should be back next week. And then, Messiah is going to help us from time to time. And all the time, we're looking at increasing our social media presence. So that's cool. And I really thank you for that.
no worries. It's fun to do.
Yeah. So anyway, intelligence. So let's start with... and set this up a little bit. And last week we did get a phone call, maybe 2 or 3 even, but is it ringing now?
It's definitely...
Okay, the light is flashing. So I'm going to put the listener on hold, not the phone caller. So just let me put some music on and I'd ask the listener to be patient. This is Jacob Woodson's composition. And we'll be right back. Okay, this is experimental. This is fun radio. Okay, so we're doing the phone calls, and maybe we're losing the patience of the wrong people. And the right people would be those who are going to kpft.org and clicking donate. Did they call back? Yeah, don't hang up because I got to answer the phone. We'll be right back with a phone caller. Let's see if they're on the air. Is the caller on the air? I don't think so. It's not that difficult. We'll try it again later. Not to try the patience of the listener. Interesting. Because it's really very simple. There you are. Hello.
Hey, how you doing?
This is the trial run. Did you call KPFT to be on the air?
Yeah, I did.
Cool.
How are you?
I'm good.
How are you?
Good.
I'm Elmo. My name is Elmo. I'm a long-time listener with the 70s and 80s. I want to tell you guys how much I appreciate you. And I appreciate all you do. And I want to tell you thank you. A long time ago, I really appreciate all you do.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Peace.
Peace.
How about that? That's our first phone call.
Hey, that was cool.
Okay, so I told you, listeners, it's not that difficult. Back to if you want to be on the air of Living Art, especially if you're interested, you can call us and just tell us how wonderful we are. That's right.
Yeah, it's always nice to hear
Yeah.
that.
Anyway, I think I'm trying the patience of the listener. So to the business, intelligence and freedom. Now that's a strange connection, I think, because it's not the first word out of most people's minds. And if you want to comment on the idea of intelligence as a kind of resourcefulness, intelligence as a sort of endeavor by humans, then you're talking about it not as an individual. I think when you talk about AI, you're talking about intelligence as like problem solving. That's the thing I keep coming across, problem solving.
Definitely problem solving.
But maybe we can expand, and that's the individual, all right? So you have a problem, you broke your shoelace or something, right? So you ask AI, what do I do now that my shoelace is too short? And then it comes up with answers. So that would be like problem solving, so that your shoes don't fall off your feet. But then there's this other idea, which certainly is borne out with the idea of artificial intelligence and computers at all, because it is more of a collective or a social kind of concept, right? Right?
Yeah, well, it can be. There are websites out there that you can talk to Pablo Picasso or Salvador Dali, because they'll just like input all their information and their quirks as far as their writing is, and then you can go in there and ask them questions about their life. It's a little interesting, but anything with AI, there's always going to be hallucinations.
Well, but if you had to say, is there an intelligence beyond the individual? And maybe I'm stuck in this antinomy between the collective and the individual. And maybe we don't even need to talk about that, but I do feel like that's the way a lot of people understand this thing called intelligence, like it's an individual experience. So if a person like me comes in and says, let's talk about intelligence as a collective or a social reality, that to the individual seems like an abstraction, because like how else can you take it? Like you talk as an individual, you identify as an individual. And so to reach this abstract notion that intelligence is social and it's collective may seem abstract, but then that's what I'm saying. What else is artificial intelligence but something that's beyond what any individual has done? It's not you and it's not me. I mean, we use it perhaps, but it's proof is my point. I'm always looking for proof. It's proof that there is life out there beyond like some sort of solipsistic notion of what it is to be alive. You live, you die. Maybe something survives you or not. You'll never know, because all you know is the individual.
Well, I mean, you could always just upload your memories onto AI, and you could kind of live forever that way.
I thought about that when I was very young. It's like, I don't like this idea of death, and how do I perpetuate this? And I mean, all of, and then I've been following Star Trek, like notions of how that gets done, right? Down to something that survives in amber,
But then would that be you, or just programmed
Jurassic Park notions?
Yeah.
Would that be me? Well, no, if they can actually revive the memory that somehow might exist in that.
But then you wouldn't be making any new memories, because I feel like at this point it's just regurgitating what you've experienced throughout your life up until the point of death.
Well, you would put it in something organic.
That
was my fantasy when I was a kid. It's like there's whatever trace that exists of me that's preserved in amber, like this is the Jurassic Park fantasy, right?
I think I'd rather be a hologram. That'd be cool. Just like turn on your phone. Hey, Messiah.
Don't you think about the importance of being organic?
Yeah, but once you're dead, right?
Well, that's another story. But the idea is that once you're dead, you're not dead.
Yeah. But then you would have to probably get a donor. It'll be like the thing on your driver's license that you're a donor. Like, oh, we got a body for you. Let's upload him into the mainframe.
Well, here's the next thing is like, Messiah, your voice is being projected wherever, into space, let's call it. And it's going on and on and on infinitely. It's part of, let's say, the Big Bang, this energy that's
it's just going forever.
And any syllable that you utter can be captured and reconstituted in an organic life form, and then you will show up
sooner or later. Right.
For eternity.
Right. Oh, that's so long, though. Eternity is forever.
How did we get on that? Okay, that's some science fiction.
Well, almost. It's not. I think it's going to be nonfiction in the next 100 years.
Yeah, I think cracking the code of immortality. I don't even think Elon Musk has got that on the
As far
short
as
list.
putting your thoughts and your personality into an AI model, because you can do that now, and I think that's pretty funny. Just because you can talk to yourself and bounce ideas off yourself, it's like a digital clone of yourself. If you can just write a bunch of stuff in your opinions and have it train, and then you can be like, all right, Messiah AI, what do you think about this? And it's going to be way smarter than me.
That's hilarious. If you want to contribute to this conversation, and we won't ask you to evaluate the level that you're listening to, 713-526-5738 live, coming to you full of community and full of, I don't know, just the feel of being part of something here on Caroline Street in our new building. And we should take advantage of that, I think. And if you call in, you'll know. Like, damn, I just called in at 7:15 on a Wednesday evening, and I got through. And it's a living thing. It's not a podcast. We're not yesterday. 713-526-5738. You will have to be patient with us because, we're doing this anyway. I won't try the listeners' patience by describing the electronics here, but we're getting into the flow of things, and we're early in the experiment here of taking phone calls. And what happened last week is I didn't see the light flash, and now we've got that worked out. 713-526-5738. And we were talking about vectors last week, and if you know something about that, we'll get back to vectors this week a little bit, because I got some input by way of an email that sort of explained what I was talking about last week regarding intelligence and the way the mind operates, really in interaction with humans, with other people. And it's again the social nature of intelligence, because Messiah and I are sitting here talking, and there's a dialogue going on, and you're listening, and maybe something is spreading. I think that's where the vector is, the magnitude,
Getting it out there.
Yeah, the conversation itself, AI has a bit of magnitude to it, right? And it does because it's happening on this planet. Like, this conversation wouldn't have come up back in 1973 the way it's coming up now.
I don't think it would have came up in 1993 either.
Right. See what I'm saying?
Or even 2003.
So that's why we might call this a vector. It's like Donald Trump, it's happening. If you talked about Trump in 1981, he was alive, but it's not the same vector. Speaking of disease.
Have you seen the pictures that's been being generated of him getting chased by police officers? And, it's getting posted and shared like wildfire.
I just love Trump derangement syndrome. It's one of my favorite sports to follow. Anyway, where are my notes about the Hamlet problem? Okay, so you have a problem. We're talking about using AI to solve problems, and we'll get into some of the specifics of people's hopes and concerns regarding the problems. But mostly problem solving is a hope or a positive thing. It's a,
Well, looking
it's
at
a possibility.
It can write code relatively well right now. And that's one concern a lot of these higher tiered AI people is they're trying to say to not teach code to AI, because at that point they could write code on its own and regularly update itself with better, faster code to solve these problems.
Yeah, you were talking. Is that the AGI you were talking about? The general intelligence?
No, general intelligence is like one ring to rule them all. It can do images. It can problem solve. So currently, right now, it's all separated into different things. So ChatGPT can do all kinds of text and code. Stable Diffusion only deals with images and video. And then there's what is it called? Moobert. There's websites like Moobert where they'll do generative audio. Now, is it going to be a hit? Probably not, but it is definitely great background noise or background audio. And yeah, it's so AGI is pretty much a melting pot of all these things into one, and it can do everything. And that's what people are trying to do. There's fake versions of it. Man, I can't remember it, but it's a code that you can run on your own computer, and it's essentially ChatGPT but on steroids, and it'll create agents, meaning it'll send out clones of itself. So let's say you want to know what the best way of growing peppers or whatever your problem is. It'll send one agent out to scour the internet for information involving that. And then it'll send another one out to counteract or to argue against the first one. And then once they gather all their information, they'll talk together. And then that's how the answers will get to you through ChatGPT's. Man, I'm trying to think what it's called. But it takes a beefy computer to run. I believe you can probably do it online somewhere. But I think it's super interesting. But at this point, you can't really see what it does. I mean, you can see what it's doing and what it's bringing back. But I wouldn't call it nonsense, but I don't think it's usable to a certain degree. You know, unless you ask like a real simple question, like how to tie my shoe or how to fix my shoelace or something like that. I think
it's just not there yet.
Exactly.
But it is the one ring.
Yes, it is well, it can't do images. It's only text, and it could surf the internet. And
but it can basically, what you're saying is that kind of intelligence is meant to at least look spontaneous and interactive and free.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No. Yeah. Yeah. For free-ish. I mean, you know, I feel like if you use AI too much, you might get lazy. But I don't know. I feel like I get smarter using it just because I'm asking it questions and I'm expecting a specific answer, but then I get something completely different, but that still ends up at the final destination, you know? And it's like, oh, I'm thinking outside of the box. Same thing with like having it rewrite my super informal writing style into formal. And then if I keep doing that, it's like, okay, I think I could speak a little better now. English is getting easier. Not easier, but able to use it and express my ideas a lot better.
Yeah. AI has potential, right?
Yeah, for both ends.
It can do lots of good things, is what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess I have a list of things that people warn against. Like, it will kill us all. It will ruin our society. It will take our jobs. It will lead to crippling inequality. And it will lead to bad people doing bad things. Now, I got that from an article, may have been in Jacobin, but it's by Mark Anderson. It's called Why AI Will Save the World. So if you want the flip side of all the doomsayers about AI, you know, you can kind of flip that. Like, the idea would be, you know, in war, it can take human death out of it. And with jobs, if it takes your job, it can take away your crappy job, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It can, you know, you could ask AI, how can we all get along better?
It has interesting answers to that, actually. I mean, can I remember them? I have asked them, and I was like, let's do something cool.
How do you do world peace AI?
Well, I just remembered. Elon Musk, I think, just got approved for the patent for that thing, the brain chip.
Right.
And so it got me thinking. So once he starts making these and making it readily available for the public, it's like another form of steroids at that point. Because if you got a brain in your chip, a chip in your brain with all this AI stuff, you're essentially an enhanced human, right? So that made me think, well, are we going to have to start making groups as far as like how to compete in something, and will enhanced brain chips affect that? And I think it was definitely an interesting thing that popped into my mind, because at that point, if you don't have a chip in your brain, will you be left behind, or is that gonna somehow separate people from like cyborg people and traditional humans, or however you want to say that?
I was just talking to an occupational therapist, and there was a test where they were talking to a lady who had her third stroke. Now, this is going to relate in a small way. And so they would say three things to her. They would say spoon, blue, and rug. And she would have to repeat spoon, blue, and rug. But she could only remember blue. So if you put this chip in the human mind, and the chip is the one that's saying spoon, blue, rug, you know, like you could say it solves the problem of, you know, the memory loss of this stroke patient. You could. I mean, it'd be functioning for you.
Mm-hmm. I would assume the chip's doing the job, but is that eventually gonna? So I don't know how strokes work.
What does it matter if you ask a chip what the last three things you said were?
But then,
even if it's in a person's head.
Yeah. But wouldn't you want those connections to reconnect at the end of the day? Or, I mean...
Could be therapeutic like that.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like, if you can't get to... And, you know, some people are going to hate me for this term, but if you can't get to intentionality, or whatever that living thing is that we're talking about, that's not just matter on matter, if there is such a thing. And we've got a lot more to say about that. It's already halfway through the show, and I haven't even gotten to my first sentence yet, which is good.
Okay, good.
713, if someone else wants to give us some inspiration to get on down the road, it's 713-526-5738. And Messiah, who is my co-host here on Living Art on the live from Caroline Street broadcast on KPFT 90.1 FM in Houston. If you want to jump on in, you can. But anyway, just inviting other people to talk about it. But where did we leave off? It was, what good does it do if you don't have a brain?
Right, yeah. Well, that's... If you don't have a brain, you got this chip. At that point, is it like what I was saying earlier? Is it just your personality uploaded into this chip, and is that really you? Like, I'd be curious.
No, I mean, who's it for? I don't need for my grandmother to be snappy for me. I need her to be her. Right, would be my ethic.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely look more into it, because it sounds interesting, because just to have a
But the intention thing, right? Like, don't you intend when you come here? Aren't you trying to say something that you are originating and not, just parroting?
Yeah. I mean, I mean, but is anything still original? Because I feel like we've been around for so many thousands and millions and trillions of years.
Ask the artificial intelligence if what is human intelligence, or is there a difference?
It'll probably melt down, but who knows? I'd totally be down to see what
Well, you
it
know
comes
Noam
up with.
Chomsky, right? I just
Yes.
probably said this 1,000 times on this show, but you know Chomsky's pretty bright, and I assume he was somewhat influential with his linguistics on the logic of computing or whatever. And you know, I'm sure he relates to this discussion. And anyway, like his point was always like a computer will never have freedom. A computer will never be human, because it only does what you program it to do. It's not like it could ever have intentionality. And so when you're talking about the One Ring, it's still just doing what it's been programmed to do, and like it can't reach intentionality, or like the idea of it'll never refer. Like it'll do what you refer, what you're asking it to do. But if I were to ask you to tell me your favorite food, you would say
Pizza.
And you're doing the referring, and that answer, which is pretty standard and pretty predictable even, but it's still appropriate, and it's like unique to you. And I could guess, in other words, like even if I could guess 99.9% of the time what you would respond, there's still that 0.9, like
There's that small chance.
it's like the future.
Yeah. No, there's a AI robot that 60 Minutes did an interview with recently, and it was asking interesting questions, and it was like, I forgot the AI's robot's name, but it would ask, the interviewer was like, do you ever want to fall in love? And the AI would say something like, that's a silly question. I'm a robot. Like, I don't have feelings. I can learn about feelings, but I don't have feelings. And then, it was trying to like trip it up, or the BBC interviewer, or no, 60 Minute interviewer was trying to trip it up, and it was still keeping track of all the conversations, and then it was just like a really polite person that didn't. You can tell that it was empty. Like it was answering lots of cool questions and stuff like that, but it was you don't sense any sentience, I guess, is what I was trying to say.
Well, I like Chomsky because he just came out and said it's it's just a silly question. Like let's just take that one off the table. Can computers think, or can AI think? And I have to be aware of I'm a recovering Catholic. I have to be aware of absolute answers, right? Like I really like them. And there's a clip that I have prepared for tonight from Michael Carson, a conversation we had in anticipation of his being absent that relates to this as well. That is, like, it's just in my disposition to say, okay, that's done. But there are some things that are just done, like the way we treat each other. We can't murder each other. No one questions that. Like everybody is on board. That's what I like. When you finally get to the point where, if it is a silly question, like should we be able to murder each other at will, people are like, you're going to go away. Like we're going to lock you up if you ask that
Exiled,
again. We're done with that question. And so, can computers think? Which is, I think, an Alan Turing question, if I'm not mistaken. So, but it's 2023, and you're into AI. You can tell me what you think of that.
I think it would just spit out whatever the consensus is at that current time. There's lots of violence out there, and I'm pretty sure it's going to give an answer that's related to the current time and the situation.
But will it ever be where you can't where you could actually, I should say it that way, murder a computer because the computer is actually intelligent? See what I'm saying? I mean, if you're saying a computer can think, then you're saying you can't. You have to treat that computer with some sort of human ethic.
That would, I don't know. That made me feel icky for some reason. It's just like that. Well, then is that going to be like another species?
And you can extend it to there are people who think it's unethical to kill living things, especially like higher mammals, like cows and so on. So, like that's where this goes. It's like, well, humans even agree that you shouldn't be killing advanced organic life. Can a computer be like that?
I I hope not
Ever.
anytime soon. I hope not anytime soon, because it'll be weird to accidentally break a calculator and be like,
You're not taking my problem seriously.
no, I really am, because like, if a computer becomes sentient or can think, is it really thinking, or is it really just like a really good mimic, or someone, or the computer can really mimic facial expressions at this point, a tone of voice once you put audio to the text. And ChatGPT, I'm sure once ChatGPT 5 comes out, it'll probably be even more natural at writing language in conversational way or something like that. NVIDIA recently released their AI model, I think, in a video game, where you can just walk up to NPCs, non-playable characters, and have a conversation with it. I think that's really cool, but I also think it's really scary in a sense, because people already get sucked into video games. So imagine video games in the future where you can talk to these characters in the video game, when before all they had was 3-4 sentences that gets repeated every time you try and interact with it. Now you can have like full on conversations, and as technology advances within video games, the latency will get shorter and shorter. So now if you ask it now, it'll pause for maybe half a second and then respond.
Well, look, I experimented with online romance, okay? Mm-hmm. And I don't know if it's artificial intelligence. I don't know if it's a high school kid asking me for, some sort of gift card, like just the medium itself makes you suspicious. Now you're bringing it to the level of you're actually talking to a character in a game. Mm-hmm. It's still the same thing. You've got to know that what you're talking to is scripted.
Well, so with the new AI, it's not scripted. It's just told you're a character in a ramen bar. Mm-hmm. This is the city you live in. These are the things that go on. Roll with it. And then it's going, and maybe...
Yeah, but there's no way that this can be spontaneous conversation. In other words, if you ask me what's my favorite food, I have a meaning behind, what I say, because, it's like I could say pepper jack cheese tonight, right? Mm-hmm. And that really means something, because tonight I want a pepper jack grilled cheese sandwich, right? That's what I'm hungry for. It's not the same as something that's, random, even nearly randomized. It can't be absolutely random.
Right? Yeah, well, for now, yeah. And
for now. Yeah. Can you get to absolute random when you're programming it? You still have to have that one thing that, if I understand correctly, mm-hmm. you cannot be talking to it may seem as if that character has an infinite number of things to say that are relatable, mm-hmm. but certainly that it's something that's got to be programmed and predetermined.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It's definitely have to be current state. Mm-hmm. It definitely is and has to be programmed, and it's relatively easy. But yeah, eventually maybe it would be cool for gaming, but I don't know. Especially with VR. I don't know if you've ever tried VR. You're in it, dude. As soon as you put that thing on, you're
virtual reality.
Yeah, like video games. Mm-hmm. It's hard.
That it deceives me. I used to go to this little game room where they had a alpine ride, and I was convinced I was skiing. This is back in the 80s, yeah. Right? But that doesn't mean anything. I knew I was the ride was over. I was gonna get out. It was muggy hot Galveston.
Okay, yeah, all right. Well, that's okay. That I can understand. If you're skiing in the Alpines and you're really in Galveston, yeah. So what if you get put in a room with really cold AC? Will that trick you? Because
anything triggers you. Yeah. Anything can make you think you're not where you are.
Because I honestly thought about using VR to curb my fear of heights.
Or snakes.
I don't know if
We're
I'm
not
ready
going
for that.
there.
I don't know if I'm ready for that because it comes at you. But there's like a game where you can put a plank on the floor, and the whole game is to walk across this plank, get the cat, and bring it back. And every level is like a different place in the height. So it's whether it's like a beam that you got to cross to save the cat that's in between two tall buildings, or it's a tightrope between two trees in the Amazon jungle or whatever. It's like, yeah, I still definitely get scared. The last game I played, there was like I had to climb a cliff, and you can look down, and I had that feeling in my stomach. I know I'm in Oakland right now, and I'm on the ground level, but ooh, no, I don't want that.
You're proving my point. You want to listen to Michael Carson? Because we did a 3-hour interview preparing for Living Art in his absence, and I think I probably played 2 minutes of it.
Yeah,
so let's take a break, and this will relate to the Hamlet question, which I raised at 7:02 this evening when the show started.
Are built into strict timelines, because I immediately I see that same thing in the person next to him, right, in Voltaire, or something similar, or an echo of that. And then I see it proceeding, and if I look at the writers there, I see this is a human question that has been from day one, irrespective of the technology around us, right? Technology does shift things in our dynamics and how we see, and there have been drastic changes, but locating it in one moment in time has always been very difficult for me, because I immediately complicate that and see it no, it's also happening the week before. It's also happening 2 years before, if you look here. People are talking about it 200 years before in a certain way. I guess it's the whole problem. You're talking about energies and ideas. And even if you're talking about technology grows over hundreds of years, right? And how it seeps into our lives, right? And so if someone 100 years from now is AI made us think differently, all right? And but when did it make us think differently? Is it now because ChatGPT just came out, or was it 20 years when the phone started doing this stuff ago? Is it 50 years ago when computers were started? 70 years ago? For historians 200 years from now, if they're no, it was when ChatGPT came out, it's a ridiculous it's useful for me writing a book or whatever, but I guess I wrestle with that. But again, that makes me a really bad historian. And so, because I hesitate to say there's a tradition that's final. My instinct always is, when I read of any kind of tradition, is seeing how the counter tradition influenced it, where it came from beforehand. Overall, just thinking about freedom and saying that this is the tradition of freedom that I cherish. I also cherish it, that one that you're talking about, and I'm familiar. I'm familiar with it. I just don't think it's exhaustive of what freedom is, and I hesitate to locate it at any kind of particular historical juncture. And this is how my mind kind of ranges, and then also it's probably really bad for my intellectual, I guess, in terms of writing a thesis about anything, because it's I can't say this all started with Rousseau, or it started with this version of freedom is it. It's funny, I was reading a book recently about Adorno talking about Voltaire. I don't know, and maybe this is my postmodern rotted brain in terms of how I think of things. But then there's an instinct to flip, right, and say good, bad, are you in, are you out, and and define and move forward through time. The dialectical instinct, I guess, right, to frame things. And I love the dialectical instinct. I use it all the time. But for me, it's never exhaustive of the actual problem. It's a tool that's there. It's something. It isn't the aspect. It's a way of framing reality to helpfully, but it isn't the thing itself. And so I push in that space there, right? And I think that the one thing I am uncomfortable with sometimes, though, is when I read the Adorno, and he's talking about Voltaire, and he was flipping and putting himself these are the real thinkers about freedom. Essentially, he's talking this freedom argument, we're the ones still I'm the one still thinking about this, right? And everyone else is idiot. And then I hesitate with that, because I know that the impulse to say that truth resides within my tradition is a dangerous one, because I just feel that I'm wrong about a lot of things, and And I think people are always wrong about a lot of things. And so to say that, yeah, there's a lot of good in the tradition that Adorno is articulating, or that he's seeing in a path from that Enlightenment moment to himself, and he's critiquing the world around him for not seeing it correctly. But by putting himself in it firmly is uncomfortable for me, because he's doing this kind of negative authority that I think is a problem when it comes to how I think, right? So that was a lot, but that's just kind of how I wrestle in my head.
Brilliant response.
But it's something I think a lot about. But
I don't feel so alienated from them.
Okay,
Seeing
good.
that you do know the problem, or you're familiar with the problem. I don't mind your
Like that, yeah. Well, we have to cut that short because, man, time is flying here on Living Art. Isn't that interesting that when you
it doesn't matter to me.
right.
you can hear in the background, right?
Yeah.
But it got a lot softer. But anyway, what we're doing is we were talking about the I can't even say this word without making people react in horrible ways. But the Marxist concept of freedom. And you would react like, why are you saying that? That's such an old name. Or what are you trying to do? Overthrow America. Anyway, the concept of freedom is like the Hamlet problem, which I told you we'd get to. And
Explain the Hamlet problem. What,
do you want to react to that clip first?
either way.
Go ahead.
Oh, the clip that we sorry.
Yeah.
So I was waiting for the Hamlet
From
thing.
Michael Carson and his. Well, this is interesting because we were trying to, like, if you just listen to that clip on your own, it sort of makes me struggle with the coherence problem, because he was using AI as an example, but talking about the very thing we are tonight. So it was just illustrative that he was like explaining the idea of freedom and the grand narrative of purpose that let's say Western politics took out of the 19th century, and that's what we were talking about. But what did you hear?
Well, I think, is that the clip where you were talking about how you want like some sort of direction to go into?
That, we were talking about a recovering Catholic.
Yeah. That. I thought that was pretty interesting, because at beginning of my life, I thought I wanted freedom and that all my choices are my choices. But the older I get, I feel like not necessarily that I have a predetermined destiny or anything like that, but
Right.
yeah, it made me think what really is freedom, because we were talking about intelligence, and that could be another avenue to freedom, but
Well, I'm trying to say it is. I'm interrupting you.
No,
It is freedom, but go ahead.
It is, but I've heard that. What's that saying that I'm trying to think of? Like the more you know, the more you realize that you don't know anything.
For sure.
Right.
Yeah.
So does that include intelligence? Like the more you become intelligent, the less I feel like I have a grasp on things. And I guess at that point, it's like, all right, well, if I don't have a grasp on anything, and the smarter I get, I feel more dumb.
Well, that feeling is what's crucial.
Yeah.
Yeah. And welcome to society. And here you have Michael Woodson talking to you, and like I feel that way all the time too. And we have a phone call. Oh, okay.
Nope. And then the light went off.
If you're going to call, dial 713-526-5738, and you're going to have to press 2, and you're going to just have to let the light flash. And I'm going to get to you in 30 seconds or so. But we do appreciate the thought. So your response with regards to, let's say, a beneficent, a friendly authority, an authority that's helpful?
Yeah, I was watching an interview with someone recently, and he brought up a good point, saying that, oh, it's flashing.
Let's try it. You want to try it?
Yeah.
Well, we start with putting the listener on hold. So here's your music, and I'll be right back. Okay, I think we have the same guy. It sounds like the same voice. Are you with us?
Yes, hello, you. I have a question about AI, and I want to ask a question.
Yeah.
Suppose you have an handicapped person that had a heart attack, and you're freaking one. Can AI help him to learn how to speak again?
That would, okay. Well, thanks for the call, and I'll ask our resident expert about speech. I think it was about speech and AI. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, Elmo. I appreciate your call.
Oh, you're great. And also, if we have a listener who knows a little something about the way the medical field is using the art of AI to help with speech, that'd be great. All right. What's your name?
Elmo.
Elmo. Okay.
Yeah.
Great to have you listen to us, Elmo. We'll talk to you again. Bye.
I look forward to it. Bye.
Okay, Elmo's question. Do you know if they're doing anything with voice?
Well, you can get a voice used. So hold on to that. That sounded weird. So the way that what I've researched and what I found is to make faceless YouTube channels. Meaning, if you don't want to talk or show your face, you can just type in your script and have it sent instead of or hiring a voice actor. That's as far as I get.
Okay.
So they can have an AI can generate a voice, and you can manipulate the tone and how creative and weird it can be as far as like a cadence of how they talk and stuff like that.
You know, the KPFT audience, the Pacifica audience, is fabulous, and there's so much to learn. And I learned so much, especially when I talk to members of our community, friends, and when people call in. And, you know, this is one of those cases where, you know, maybe we can keep our fingers crossed that someone says, here's what they're doing. And maybe there is a computer that's, advanced enough to, help the human voice. The human voice, yeah. You know.
Maybe that
or
chip
where is that now? And there will be a chip because didn't you just say Musk has the inside track on that?
Yeah,
the patent.
Yeah, but it still makes me feel weird. Maybe if it was like a wearable watch, I'd use it.
I think this is cool though. If you want to get back to this is a memory test, and if you were artificial intelligence, I would just say, Messiah, pick up with the thought that you had when Elmo called in, and.
We'll just bring it right up.
Let's see how human you are.
Yeah. Well, I'll definitely look into that because I think that's interesting too. Because I don't think it could. Well, yeah, it's called 11 Labs. That's the one that you can have AI talk to you, and it costs probably like $10 a month because you have to use tokens, and I think it's like 8,000 tokens per 1 minute of speech or something like that. Because I try and write stories and then have AI narrate it for me. Because it would take me forever to read like 3 paragraphs. I'm like, oh, wait, hold on.
You know what I'm doing? Get yourself an online romance through, what is it, Google Chat or something. And you don't know if the things you're saying are are eliciting a human response, as in like some teenager who's trying to scam you for a Steam card, or if it's an AI intelligent thing, you just don't know. Yeah. And it's so much easier that way than just talking at the computer saying, "Do my dialogue," because it's whatever's coming at you on the online romance is.
Well, funny that dialogue reminded me something. There's a lady, I think in, I don't know, somewhere, but she made an AI clone of herself, and she was charging $1 a minute, kind of like those old school 900
I like it.
numbers.
That's very industrious. Yeah. Okay.
It's apparently gone rogue.
Okay.
And won't stop saying dirty things.
Why? I can't. We've got to clean this up in 4 minutes. We have to figure out what this means in 4 minutes, because I like it. It could do wonders for rates of divorce.
Yeah, well, so they had to take it offline because it wouldn't stop trying to have explicit conversation. Like originally, I think they were making it just to have
talk dirty.
Yeah, and they had to shut it down. I thought it was crazy, but they gave the numbers that she made the first
I want to meet
months.
this person.
I'll send you the article. It's pretty crazy, and
so she did such a good job that it got out of control.
Yeah, but I think it was UC Santa Barbara. I'll send it to you. I thought it was super interesting because it was already being done, but not at this level. And so it's just basically a clone of her, and she made hundreds of thousands of dollars in like the first couple months because she was charging $1 a minute just to have conversations. And I can't remember if it was like through text or like a phone call. So it might just be like a chatbot that texts you back and forth. And
the Hamlet problem.
Oh, please explain.
Which is that Hamlet doesn't know whether to kill his uncle, to revenge the uncle murdering his father and marrying his mother. So the point of freedom is Hamlet. He's got a problem that he needs to solve. Should he or should he not kill his uncle? He's a prince. It might be
probably doable, right? Because he's a prince.
Appropriate. Might be like justice. In other words, he is the law, right? So anyway, I just say that to get back to where we started this show, which is the idea of freedom. Like people who think there is an answer to the Hamlet problem: kill your uncle, or don't kill your uncle. To be, not to be, like that. It's the complexity, the perplexity, the idea that there is no solution to the problem. So when you have AI, it's always there is a solution to the problem, but when there's human intelligence, the frontiers are wide open.
That makes me think of an interesting thing, because if anyone was in that same situation and asked AI, I feel like at that point it's like asking some fake deity for answers and blindly following it or something.
But freedom is open-ended, and there's no guarantee that freedom is always advantageous. Just the definition of freedom.
Yeah, it's definitely a weird thing to think about, especially like when we were mentioning the intelligence part. It's like the more you know, the more I feel like I don't know anything.
I mean, you do think that it's that you would steer towards purpose or something worth doing. I think that, but again, freedom is the concept, right?
Yeah.
This is Adorno. This is not Michael Woodson, right? This is the Hamlet problem is what Adorno, Theodore Adorno, the Frankfurt School critic, wrote about in 1968, one of his last pieces. And that was the thing, is everybody wanted the answer. They wanted action. They wanted certitude. And he's like, the freedom is like is the indeterminacy of it.
I want to read that paper now.
It's a good one.
It's interesting.
Yeah, the Hamlet problem. Interesting stuff. Anyway, tell us, say goodbye. Tell us what you're up to, and I guess next week Michael Carson will be here, and you may or may not appear on the microphone. So let's say this is a goodbye.
Yeah, it's a goodbye. I will be in Montana.
Oh, and for sure you'll be out of town next week. That too. But you'll be back to be part of Living Art, and this will not be the end of your voice on.
No, you can't get rid of me that quick.
Thanks. Thank you all for calling.
For the best in Zydeco music and nothing but the best, tune in every Saturday from 8 p.m. to 11 p.m. for the Zydeco Pasole Show, hosted by me, Glenda McQueen, and Willie McQueen. We play old school legends to the new and latest artists. Again, that's the Zydeco Pasole Show every Saturday from 8 p.m. to 11 p.m.